This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, a very, very happy Tuesday, and welcome to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. My name is Justin. Today is September 9th of 2025, and I hope everyone had themselves a good weekend. I know I did. Football's back in town. We had a lot of great matchups with college over the weekend. We had a lot of great matchups with the NFL over the weekend that we talked about. And we will have plenty to talk about that in today's episode. Our agenda for today, we will talk about the Cincinnati Bengals picking up their first victory of the season. Let's give us a nice round of applause. They beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16, put one win on the board for them this season. And I actually very much enjoyed the game. I'll share my experience and thoughts, some positive, some negative, but we'll talk some NFL. We'll also talk Cincinnati Reds baseball. And I was thinking about this morning, and, it comes to my conclusion that maybe the Reds aren't ready for October baseball yet. They take on the San Diego Padres here this week, followed by the Athletics on their final West Coast road trip. And I believe the rest, if I'm not mistaken, is divisional games. And their hopes of a playoff run are kind of creeping down, slim to none here. So we'll talk some Reds baseball. WWE, as we get ready for WrestlePalooza coming up in a few weeks. They've made some newsworthy conversations here on our program that we will go ahead and talk about some big stories coming out of professional wrestling. But before we do anything, I like to just give you a rundown of the channel, what's going on, what you can expect here over the next few weeks. We just got past WrestleMania. Now, last week was kind of strange. I was out of town. I couldn't get a lot of work done, so I did a lot of work before I left, so I had content to publish. So the podcast, last week we saw the rest of the predictions. We saw week one's predictions of the NFL, and I'll talk more about that on Thursday's podcast. So that was a success. We expect more, right? So we'll expect to do that, obviously in this podcast. And then the one on Thursday is going to come and we'll talk about week 2 in the NFL and who we believe are going to win and lose. All of our gaming content up until Thursday was played. And I felt very confident being able to publish everything on time last week. When I got back, I ran into the weekend and I wasn't prepared at all for the weekend, and Friday was kind of my reset day. Spent a lot of time with the family over the weekend, so blame me. It's my fault, but I didn't get a lot of content done for the weekend. So I'm kind of still playing catch up. And so where we're at today, September 9th of 2025, I just got the PLE Backlash published. I got the baseball game for Tuesday Night Baseball being published. And I have Raw kind of already put together. They just need to go through the importation and then publication. So I'm hoping to get those two things published by the end of tonight. That way, when it comes down to timing content, I could get back on schedule for NXT on Wednesday, Thursday Night Football, Friday Night SmackDown, Saturday night main event. I got a baseball game on Saturday and Friday and Saturday, and then NFL on Sunday and Monday. So what is on our agenda is I already have Raw done. And if you guys are following the WWE 2K Universe mode on our channel, we are after Backlash. I'd encourage you to watch that first to see who won and who lost. We are doing our little WWE draft, and I encourage you to check out the description below the video because that will give you a lot more details of what will happen, and it will give you information about who's drafting where. We are also beginning the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, which will conclude at the King and Queen of the Ring PLE coming up here in a few weeks. So it will transition from Raw to SmackDown back and forth. We had 3 rounds. We're having 3 rounds on Raw, which you'll see here hopefully in the next few hours. From there, we will have another one later tonight or early tomorrow morning, just 1 round that you guys could check in the community chat. 1 on Thursday, so round 4 and 5 on Thursday, 3 more rounds on Friday, and then we'll roll over into next week. I'll take it week by week. Now, expect the ones that are not involved into the show not to be, great, as big names as you maybe hope. The design is I want the entire roster to be revealed by the end of this. I don't remember how I did it last year. So this is all kind of just coming to me. Now, the one thing I will explain is that although there is a Raw and SmackDown brand that will take effect the Monday after King and Queen of the Ring PLE, NXT is a unit brand. So there's not a roster for NXT precisely. It's going to be the combination of Raw and SmackDown, just like main event. So that is something to kind of keep an eye out in our WWE 2K universe mode. NFL, we have week number 2 coming your way. I got a set of games for you. Thursday night football, we have Washington and Green Bay. We're following our Cincinnati Bengals franchise series. So all the gameplay is done through quick play. The outcome of that game will get inserted back into the Bengals franchise mode that I have on the Madden 26 video game. We beat the Cleveland Browns. If you haven't watched it this past week, I believe over 100 views. Thank you so much for checking it out. And we host the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday at 1:00. We'll have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings Sunday Night Football, followed by, I know there's 2 games for Monday Night Football. We're getting the later game, and that's going to be the Chargers versus the Raiders at 10 p.m. So I know it's going to be a late night for those on the East Coast, but I was just looking at this, and I was like, that's more of a compelling game. Division rival, can't turn that up. So we chose that for our Monday night game. So that's what we're going to continue. Now, it doesn't seem like a big schedule, 4 games. We'll have 5 in a couple weeks when we have the international series, just like last week, right? So expect those. But right now, while baseball season is still in progress, we are going to kind of keep it a short, tight leash. We'll play the Cincinnati games. We may substitute the Bengals game if there's a Monday, Sunday, or Thursday night football in that schedule for an alternative game throughout the day. I really wanted to get the Lions and Packers in. I wasn't physically capable of getting that done and published in time. So I didn't want to overwork my load, which obviously I did. Over in Major League Baseball, I cut down to 3 games and normally have a game on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There wasn't really just many interesting matchups that I wanted in time slots. I try to spread these things out where videos ain't overlapping each other in premieres. according to that, though, I was just looking into it. We have the Royals and Indians, or Guardians, excuse me, tonight. That's currently being processed. Friday night, we have the Dodgers and Giants. And then we had the Yankees and Red Sox. So interesting games, but not really a whole lot of compelling playoff implications, if you know what I mean. So that's what I chose among baseball this week. The design is, over the next few weeks, what you're probably going to see is cut back on some games, get ready, and go jump forward to postseason. I really do want to give you as much content as possible for baseball in the postseason. It's hard early on because with football and with wrestling and with this podcast schedule, we have, it's getting content played. And you're looking at 2 to 4 games a day for about 2 to 3 weeks. So I just have to see and where I'm at time-wise. I'm working on it as we speak. The whole goal is to get done with the regular season here by next week, if not sooner than that, so I can start working on postseason and get that published out a little further down the road. So, with that being said, let's jump right into sports conversations. I want to go ahead and start things off with the Cincinnati Bengals as they beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16 in week 1. We put a victory on our win board. It's the first win of the season. It's a divisional win, and it's a win on the road. And so no matter how you look at it, it's a well-deserved win. I know we've emphasized getting off to a hot start, having an early winning record. I was seeing some stats, and I do want to correct myself. I guess the Bengals have had success against the Browns in recent years, but to me, I just feel like they do struggle in Cleveland. I don't know if this was Joe Burrow precisely struggling in Cleveland like he's done in years past, but man, I got to tell you, if you watch the game, let's be real for a second. They should have lost the game. No, this is one of the games where you look at the schedule and you're just telling yourself, yeah, it should be an easy win. As a matter of fact, the way that they were playing the first half, it almost felt like it should have been like a 31-20 ball game, right? Where they would have won comfortably, not go down to the final seconds where you required some good play calling and some, your defense to prevail. I was very, very impressed with the Bengals defense. Matter of fact, if any particular part of that game that I have to give credit to, it has to be to the Bengals defense because, as we talked about this last week, the process, we are working off of how good their offense is because we understand the struggles that the defense provides. And sure, the defense provide a lot of agony on Sunday, right? But our objective was to make sure that defense allows just less points than what our offense can score. And they made it happen, knowing that I don't think we put up a single point in the second half, right? Maybe 3 at best. So, give a round of applause, right, to that Bengals defense. It looked like a flawless defense. We also got to give credit to the 2 interceptions Joe Flacco threw on Sunday. And boy, let's give a big thank you to Andre Schmidt, who gave up a PAT at the end of the first half and missed a game-leading field goal that probably could have gave them the victory. See, if those corrections were made, we should have lost 20-17 on Sunday. Offense did not move an inch, right, on in the second half. And man, if this is what our team has to offer for the rest of the season, I'm a bit scared. I get anxiety watching the Bengals play. I don't have, This is not just to sit back and enjoy football. This is every week we're in a position to criticize every ounce of performance. When we rely on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins to put a winning drive together, they, like I said, they look great early on. Noah Fant with that passing touchdown. I mean, but that second half was the Bengals offense flatlined. I don't get it. So kudos to the defense. I think they did the best with what they were able to have. They kept them from scoring more points than we did. They helped us pick up a victory. They made some, crucial plays, a couple interceptions, which were well needed. I'm hearing about this in the broadcast and sports radio about the Bengals needing to come from stripping the ball to making tackles. I feel like one of the biggest issues the Bengals have had is following through with a tackle, right? And allows the opponent to just gain yardage. I saw the Bengals, everyone was pouncing. Eyes were off the ball. These were the two interceptions we saw were receivers reflecting the ball off their hands, trying to make a play as they went down, and the defense capitalized and snagged the ball before it either landed back into a Browns' hands or hit the ground. And I thought that was pretty observant. And I hope that continues out through the year. The one thing I heard that lingered around that I was thinking about a lot week one of the NFL was, I heard Zach Taylor say this in his post-game, team meeting that was on social media. And he was expressing how week one is not going to be the same team that is going to be in week 6 or week 12 or in the playoffs for that matter. And I get that. I just, we do see, I know there's a lot of chemistry that still needs to be developed. You have rookies that have never played it down in the NFL. They're, working out their ring rust, in a sense. And I get it. We are going to grow. We are going to adapt. We are going to build chemistry and learn each other. And I'm excited for that. But, overall, if what we saw on Sunday is what's in store for the season, I am very concerned about how the outcome will be. I listen, and I get it. A W is a W. I get it. This was a game that we should have won. We did win, but you have to read between the lines, because if we performed the way we did, if we didn't provide any offense in the second half of a game against maybe the Ravens or even the Bills, right, later this year, maybe even the Packers, they're not going to sit here and hand over mistakes. I mean, I beg to differ that, the Packers are not going to give us a mistake after mistake after a mistake. These are well-completed teams. So, sure, let's take advantage of a win that we should have won, but the way we went about it, I think, needs to be addressed. And I'm sure they're going to address it, right, at practice. They're going to clean some things up. I'm intrigued to see, what we do this Sunday against the Jaguars. And this is another game on that schedule, right? That should be, I'm not going to say it's a walk through the park, no, but, a 31-21 game, 31-27. We shouldn't be we should have, I want us to go into this game this Sunday with our offense confident in being able to run down the ball 4 or 5 times a game and putting up points, not being stopped and shut out practically the second half. You know, we look around in the division, right? The Steelers, Aaron Rodgers beat the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Little bit of bittersweet moment, but well needed for Aaron Rodgers as a football player. Um, that's another team that, just like the Bengals, they're going to hang on to every win that they could possibly get. They're going to take advantage of any, offsets, any mistakes that is handed to them. They're going to try to capitalize. We look at the Baltimore Ravens, who lost. So we're tied for first right now. Nothing too spectacular to talk about, but we are tied for first. And guess what? It's not with a team that is expected to win the division. So, but are you really worried, or if you're a Ravens fan, are you really worried that you guys start 0-1? You played a really good game against those Bills. It wasn't a neutral site. Home field advantage favored Buffalo, being in Buffalo, right? And um, man, just like the Chiefs starting out 0-1 this year. Not technically surprising, but I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about the Chiefs because you know what the Chiefs could do throughout the course of the year. They lost to the Chargers. So what? That's not going to define their season. But the Bengals losing or the Bengals winning against the Browns could definitely define their season. So, I'm sitting back. I'm enjoying the win that we had with, on Sunday. A win's a win. Definitely had me on my edge of my seat, standing up the last 2 minutes. Hey, we got to stop this. And, I'm always inclined to see the same things out of the Bengals that we do each and every game. But hey, it's a win. So we're celebrating. I'm sure they're back at it. And, I'm looking forward to them coming back to Paycor Stadium and taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk more about that coming up on Thursday. I want to transition into Major League Baseball. This isn't going to come in here and provide stats for you here on this podcast right at this moment. Look, I think I've started already having these conversations with everyone, and I think the conversation, and I'm not giving up on the Reds. I'm still hopeful, but a lot of things have to go right. And the first thing did not go right on Monday night against the Padres, where they lost to the Padres in San Diego. This is their second West Coast trip in the last month. They have San Diego for today and tomorrow. Then they go out to the Oakland, not Athletic, but Sacramento or something like that to play the Athletics. You almost have to play nearly perfect baseball in order to give yourself an opportunity for a postseason shot. Heading into this, we already knew at the back end of this schedule, the Reds had probably the most difficult schedule to overcome. Not saying it was impossible, but very difficult. When you have players injured, when everyone's fatigued from playing hard baseball throughout the course of the year. But towards the end of August, beginning of September, you really separate yourself as a ball club from those who are ready to play October baseball for those who are not quite there yet. And what we saw in a tough schedule for the Reds over the last few weeks that included teams like the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the Cardinals, the Mets that we just saw last weekend, was that the Reds are not ready for October baseball yet. It's nothing against them. I'm not even upset with it. It's unfortunate, but they're not ready to get over that hump. I think the last time I looked at the wild card standings over the weekend, they were behind the Giants and the Diamondbacks. And I go back to, let's finish this season and what are our goals for this year? Well, under Terry Francona, I would love to still finish above 500 baseball. I still think we have the opportunity. We're not that far away, and a lot has to go wrong. We're not at the moment in September where we're just turning over and we're working out these younger guys who need some extra plate appearances. We're not looking into the 2026 season quite yet, but the time is coming near. Now, I do hope for the Reds, what we can do if our opportunity for a postseason run isn't as great as it was maybe 3 weeks ago. I'd like to make it challenging for some players right now, for some teams right now, excuse me, heading into the postseason. Let's face it, the Padres hasn't played their best baseball as of lately. And sure, if we can successfully have a winning record after facing our division here in the back end of this season, then I think that we can hang our hat, whether or not we go to a postseason or not. We can hang our hat pretty high in confidence for next year. When I look at this ball club and I explain to you that I don't think we're ready for October baseball yet, we aren't dealing with the young group of guys that we were 2 years ago. We made some changes, we made some improvements. I think we are focused in surrounding our team around guys like Ellie De La Cruz still, Hunter Green, but they're not rookies in the league anymore. Key Brian Hayes is still an addition. Noel V. Marte is kind of grown up. Is growing. Well, he's growing. Tyler Stevenson, I don't want to give up on him. I'm a fan favorite of Tyler Stevenson. I love a good catcher that could help, complete this team. But his time has passed. He can't stay healthy. And he starts, when he can't be consistent, he does lack thereof at the plate. So I think we're a good ball club. I think we have vast potential of being an excellent ball club. But I don't think we're ready yet. And I don't know. My fear is that every year that we don't contend and don't make it to a postseason, that's one less year that we have with this group of guys. I remember I was talking to you guys 2 years ago on the throw-in, on the on the talk show that we had a couple years ago. I was talking about, I was talking to you guys about this whole young, this whole, what do you want to call it? This process where we brought in a lot of guys in the minor leagues. Our farm system was going to come up and replace the current guys, and they were going to be the ones to get us that championship. And we're in the midst of it. And so that clock is now ticking. This isn't, hey, we're still waiting for, so-and-so to come up. Sure, Sal Stewart was not part of that conversation 2 to 3 years ago. It was Ellie De La Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Noel V. Marte, Tyler Stevenson was part of it, even Jonathan India, Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Brandon Williamson. Those were the guys that we were talking about that was going to come up along with maybe a TJ Friedel and give us their best baseball to give us either a division win or a postseason opportunity. And here we are. Hunter Green, lights out. Ellie De La Cruz, up and down. Christian Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer. And yet we still have nothing to show for it. And I don't want to jump the gun too much on this because this is only year one under Terry Francona. And I think he's a really good manager. But at some point, right, and I would hate to see Terry Francona have to go through this, but at some point, the Castellinis, the front office Nick Kroll is going to sit there and say, all right, we got to tear it from scratch again. We don't have the money to pay these guys long term. Contracts are going to expire. We can't hold on to X, Y, and Z. And so either we have guys in the farm system ready to be brought up that are just as good, if not better, or we're going to have to can this idea, re-scratch it from the bottom. We've already gone through that twice in the last 10 years. And we maybe had a wild card run and a pandemic situation. I don't count that. So, I understand Short term right now is our focus point. That's getting through the year. Let's finish off strong. We can still have the opportunity to take the series against the Padres tonight and tomorrow. We can still beat the Athletics, which if we go in and we lose a series against the Athletics, I'm like, oh my, what's going on? We might should just roll over and quit today. But and then we have an opportunity to play some spoilers, make it difficult for the Milwaukee Brewers or the Chicago Cubs here in a late of the season, right? And then I think we really need to know, we need to get back to the table. All right, what are our missing pieces in the offseason and how do we fix them? Because, this was the first year that I really saw a solid bullpen. I have seen our pitchers go 6 solid innings on average, even 7 innings. So they took the workload off of our bullpen. Yet bullpen still struggles. As much as I like Emilio Pagan, I can't sit him out there. I don't know what he's going to give. Inconsistency. So maybe we start looking for, players that we can replace and build our bullpen. I think maybe that's one of our conversations. A couple of power hand batters, maybe it's in the outfield or not, but some guys who could bring some heat to the ball and make contact could do us some good. So let's not write off the Reds quite yet, but we are kind of just slowly preparing for that missed playoff run here this year. Which, man, it's looking to be a good one. Can't wait for October. All right, let's go ahead and transition into our last topic of our podcast today, and that's going to be WWE. Now, I don't have a lot of stories. We know that WrestlePalooza is coming up in a couple weeks. I think we have John Cena and Brock Lesnar, right? Expected to be at it, WrestlePalooza. This is the first PLE that is going to happen under the ESPN contract, which means from now on, you have to have the ESPN subscription in order to watch WWE's PLE. I believe it's $29.99 a month. I don't know where I stand on that. I'll have to check into that. I would like to turn it in. We talked about this a couple weeks. It's all for the business. For the last 10 years, we've watched WWE through the network, through the Peacock, and those have been amazing values. $9.99, $6.99. We have been privileged and given the opportunity to watch wrestling at its finest at a reasonable amount, which I don't have a problem paying for. But remember that PLEs used to be almost $60, $70 a month. And you get it on a channel and you only got it for 24, 48 hours. And once that time was up, if you didn't DVR it, you wouldn't get it again unless it came out on DVD, which you would have paid probably about another $20, $30 for it, at least. You got to understand the business perspective that with these new contract deals with Netflix, and now with ESPN, they got to at some point find a way to make money, where they're endorsements. We're hoping that this, along with advertisements, along with, all this fun stuff, we hope that people will be able to come, watch our product, and we are taken more seriously as a professional sport, just like baseball or football. So it's going to be a new adaptation that we have to get comfortable with. And sure, it's going to lose some audience who's not willing to pay $30 a month. But yet I do know that people will find a way to watch PLEs, especially those true wrestling friends, whether you go to a friend's house, whether you get it yourself. Hell, maybe a bar now can who probably has a subscription to ESPN, can do that. I don't know. But that's not the main story. That's coming up though in a couple weeks. The biggest conversation I really kind of wanted to focus about was the return of AJ Lee last Friday on SmackDown. It was in Chicago, Illinois. And this has been a feud that's been lingering for the past months between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Just last PLE, we saw Becky Lynch cost CM Punk, the championship. And now we get, and it's kind of coming into a complete circle. And we see AJ Lee return because it was a Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, a married couple, going after Punk and sabotaging him from winning the ultimate prize since returning back to the WWE. So, I've heard a lot of rumors about this. And there's a lot of give and take in opinion on this. I guess, let me give you my opinion. For one, it was in Chicago, Illinois. For two, there wasn't a rush to build this up. Timed it just right. A lot of people called it where, one, it looked like the WWE. I mean, from the outside looking in, from a fan base looking in over the last couple of weeks, it showed, it appeared to us that this was going to happen. AJ Lee was going to make appearances, was a reason for it, and it was just a matter of when. So, with the rumors and speculations about AJ Lee's appearance in the WWE, by the way, it's been 10 years. Wow, I'm old. It still had one of the biggest pops in the arena in a WWE event, probably the biggest one of the year. I'd even argue it's probably bigger than Brock Lesnar's return, which was, still a surprise. See, call me old school, but here lately, I know as a podcaster, as someone who wants to analyze and give and take opinions about these matters, and I hear a lot of speculations, and I hear, oh, well, this source says this, and this source says that rumor's going to happen. That's all fine. I was one who was all favor for that. I love the pull back the curtain for a moment. But over the recent months, I really just, actually last couple of years, I really just been just wanting to keep the kayfabe going. I don't want to know, because seeing is believing, and until you actually see it, until the good old saying, until those boots on the ground, then you really cannot confirm or deny any storylines that are possibly happening. And so, as much as I want to sit here and spoil the next biggest thing and share a rumor, it was funny because no matter, because all this speculation, and yet she still was a very big pop for her reaction and return. Now, I'm going to conclude to something. No disrespect to AJ Lee, no disrespect to CM Punk, no disrespect to the city of Chicago. I think it's great. I love the reaction. I think it was warranted. I think it was necessary. And I think it really made the night special to be there. It was almost you had to be there moment. But I got to ask, would we have seen the same crowd reaction or the same pop if this was held in Los Angeles, New York, or even in Florida? And my guess would be no. Not saying she wouldn't get a pop, and it wouldn't be a pretty big one either. It just wouldn't be as big as the one that we saw on Friday on SmackDown. So the timing had to be precise. It had to be in Chicago. It had to be in this particular moment where, you need a saving grace, an angel to come help CM Punk. He's been tossed to the wayside. He's been left to rot, but he keeps getting up. He's about to get there again, and AJ Lee comes out. This is WWE Chicago, mascots. I'm not saying that it would have been perceived the same way somewhere else, but you weren't going to get as big as a pop as you would have gotten unless it was in Chicago. So let's tip our caps. For one, everyone has to stay healthy through this. So CM Punk, Becky, Seth, thank you. I'll give you guys a lot of credit. AJ Lee for wanting to make this happen. WWE for allowing this to happen, giving the fans what they have been speculating the last several weeks, and it's worked. It makes money. That's been the conversation since this new era. If it's best for business and you're here to make money, we will let bygones be bygones. Let's go make some money. Let's go make some magic. But whoever is producing this right now in the WWE, give him or her a lot of credit. I think this has now elevated. I believe this is supposed to take place at WrestlePalooza in a couple weeks. I think this kind of gives you another reason to tune in and to watch. You think about this. WrestlePalooza, first PLE on ESPN, they're going to have to really blow your socks away. So that's what, if you get Brock and John and, a mixed gender tag match, those are just two matches alone that's worth the $30 to watch. I'd honestly spend that money if I had that money. So I wanted to make sure I had this time to talk about it because it was well perceived. I liked it a lot. Nothing negative about it. Nothing negative about the Cincinnati Reds. Nothing negative about the Cincinnati Bengals who won this past weekend. I think we're living here in Northern Kentucky, feeling pretty good about ourselves because, hey, we may not be going to a postseason in baseball, but we have, as long as we don't just roll over and give up the next few weeks, I'd say we could finish our, season off above 500, and it's a work in progress towards a postseason next year, right? Bengals, hey, it wasn't a clean win, but it's that win that we needed to start that season, and who knows what it brings down to next week. Maybe last week was just a fluke, right? Maybe the offense ability and that lacked thereof was just a fluke, and we go put up 31-41 points this Sunday against the Jaguars. We hope that the defense is not a fluke, right? But no, WWE. I think the WWE is spiking. I got nothing but positive things to go about it. So, like I said, if you guys have been watching our gaming content, I'm expected to post up a baseball game on today. Later on today, Raw is supposed to be, and then we're supposed to get back on track after Raw. NXT tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, Commanders, Packers on Thursday. Then we have SmackDown on Friday. We have the baseball and the Dodgers and Giants. We have baseball as the Yankees and Red Sox will be an early 4:00 game, followed by main event. And then we have two Sunday football games, the Jaguars and Bengals, Falcons and Minnesota. We'll do a podcast on Thursday, give you our week 2 predictions. I'll have to finish up the paperwork that I did for week 1 and let you guys know so you guys can follow along. If you guys like what you guys are listening to or watching, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. Really love the community chats, good or for bad. I'm always here to learn, always here to adapt. It may sound silly what we're trying to do here, but it's working. And maybe it's not for you. So there's a million other channels. But if it is, I appreciate your support. Be sure to like that page, share it with a friend, let someone know, have them subscribe, help me grow even more. Don't forget to be part of the chat. I encourage you to read the descriptions down below. One of the things I've noticed fails on all the time. But that is all the time that we have in today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time, you guys have yourself a great rest of your day.